I'm doing a timer. All right.
Okay.
First of all, welcome to the randInt podcast, episode 11. Hooray! We're getting into the double digits now. So I did
making it
stats.
Still alive.
I can't remember if I mentioned last time. So allegedly, a lot of the podcasts stop at episode 2 or 3. Then the next drop off is around 7 or 8. The next one's at 20.
Mm-hmm.
You can go past 20. There's only something like 2,500 or 3,000 podcasts worldwide that's gone over like the 20 episode mark.
Really?
Yeah. So there's
you can do that.
Tons and tons of actual podcasts, like 200,000. But of that, literally is like 1%. Like those are 10%. 2,000 or so.
What you're saying is we've got to get to 20 so that we can be the 1%.
We can be the top 10% or whatever it is. Yeah, I'd have to look up the stats. I looked it up and it was looking at, I think it was looking at Libsyn and their data and seeing how many episodes.
There we go. That can be an excuse to sign up to new awesome tools.
No. All right.
Well,
so today's one, well, you can explain what today's minisode's about.
So today's one started as pagan traditions, but then I realized that paganism is its whole thing. So we moved on from that to just traditions.
What about tradition?
Today's tradition I'm going to be talking about is New Year's.
Hang on. Timer. 5 minutes on. Yes.
Very important because we
it's
may ramble.
We've got to keep it mini.
This is true. So the biggest problem is when I started looking up New Year's is what exactly is New Year?
Well, it's a new year.
And exactly, but what is a year? And there's a big problem with that. So firstly, I got onto a little bit of a random sidetrack about calendars.
It just reminds me of like episode 1. Who am I? I am here right now.
Well, New Year's, what is it? When is it? And the random side tangent on this was calendars. Did you know that the Gregorian calendar is what we all use now? But that's different to the Julian calendar started by Julius Caesar in 46 BC. Only by a few seconds, but over time it adds up to about 8 years. So there you go.
What do you mean?
Anyway, yeah, because it's only a few seconds or it's only a very tiny difference between calendars. But because you've got what
duration of time?
Yeah, what is a duration of a year? It's like 365.
How did they come up with a few seconds off?
Yeah, they're just different definitions, and so you end up with differences over many, many years. But both of those calendars have the first January 1st as the New Year, and that was and that's what we all many cultures use throughout the world. But if you look at a whole bunch of other cultures, they've got their own New Year's, and it tends to be based on a variety of different traditions. So some of them are based on lunar cycles, which makes sense because it's easy-ish to track and you can kind of see it.
Yeah,
and you don't need an Apple Watch to tell you when it happens. But then there's also even more pragmatic ones, which are harvest-based. So it's around the time of harvest. So some of them are, after the big harvest, that is the end of the year. And that also makes sense, I guess.
Do lazy people just harvest early and go, yep, I'm done. Tax time's done.
Well, I think that's where natural selection kicks in, because those people get hungry and have nothing to eat. Therein lies the beauty of natural selection. But it was really interesting looking at different cultures and the spread of New Year's over the year, over the Gregorian calendar year. So in January, obviously there's the Gregorian one, but there's a whole bunch of New Year's that happen February and March. There tends to be a whole chunk of them then, and then the next chunk of them seems to happen October, November kind of time.
What are they based on? They decided that.
So some of them are lunar, some of them are harvest. I think some of it might do with like Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, and changes in seasons. But there tend to be a bit of a cluster around those two times.
I suppose spring, right? Like, is it because if you think about like Northern Hemisphere, you're in winter, Whereas, around October, actually, both of them are the spring times of the different. That is like the regrowth.
So if that's your crops are starting up, then it's a marked time.
Yeah.
And one thing that would be really cool to do is basically you could actually do an entire year of travel, going from New Year's celebration to New Year's celebration.
No, there you
go.
There's like there's a flight trip that they do every year for New Year's, where you start off in New Zealand, and then you go to the next destination because you can go faster than the dateline catches up to you. So you do like 4.
But that's for that's using 1st January. So what I mean is you could actually do a trip around the world celebrating New Year's of different cultures throughout the year.
Yeah, or you could have 4 New Years in a day.
This is true. Well, actually, that was the next thing I was going to say. The very first place for the 1st of January New Year is actually a little island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean called the Line Islands. And it's kind of weird because you get the date line is not a vertical line up and down. It's got a weird little boot to it. And so this is the island that's most furthest out on the boot. And so that becomes the first one. And apparently the last one that's an inhabited island is American Samoa. And so you can have these weird islands where it's 2 a.m. on January the 1st on one place, but then it's actually January the 2nd, the other place, like just the next island. And it's just an arbitrary division based on what that island group is following. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I thought also I'll mention a little bit about Sri Lankan New Year because I thought, I should know more about this.
That's fine.
But in a nutshell, 13th to 14th of April is when it tends to be, but it's a lunar based one. And interestingly, it's when it's an astrological calculation based on when the star patterns change from one house to another. I forget the tune, but yes, it's an astrological thing.
Really play a
and
lot
interestingly, it's also
mythology.
I did, but it's also one of the ones because in Sri Lanka there's a whole bunch of different religions and traditions that get followed, but it's one where the astrological things, the Hindu things, the Buddhist things, they all kind of line up for the same timing. And so in Sri Lanka, there's a few things that happen. So for us, and this is something our family does as well, you kind of boil the milk at a particular time, light some lamps at the auspicious times, and
what if you're
different auspicious times. Too bad. The toilet is open for business. You start the new year with a bang.
Or a tummy ache.
It'll tell you how the year's going to progress. But yeah, I reckon a cool bucket list item would be basically just going from New Year to New Year over a year.
Well, so the interesting thing, you started off with paganism. Because when you wrote down pagan traditions, I started Googling it. So it turns out it's interesting that a lot of the current modern day Western things were originally invented by the early Christians, allegedly, to coincide with pagan holidays so that the early Christians would get something to celebrate close enough. So it's like Easter, supposedly was like supposedly even the name Easter is from like the pagan goddess of fertility, like Easteri or something like that. And the bunny rabbit was like the symbol from pagan days, and they used to paint the egg to increase fertility, because otherwise, why is there an egg?
Like the egg. True. Why is there not?
Yeah. So Halloween was another one that was celebrating like the pagan festival of the dead or something.
I thought that's a Mexican one.
No, there's a Mexican like Day of the Dead, and that's like they worship like it's like thankful for the ancestors and whatnot. It's like essentially celebrate the fact that you're standing on the shoulders of giants, that sort of stuff. But yeah, all these little ones are aligned. And so interestingly, I was reading this book on Islam, and so initially like Ramadan and whatnot, they used to try and coincide it with like the Jewish festivals as well, so that kind of fast together. And it was also just like so the day off in Islam is Friday, and it was because the Jewish the Sabbath, I can't remember what it's called, which starts on Friday night, and so they don't you're not allowed to do any work on Saturday. So it was almost like it lined up perfectly, but then they shifted it once there was enough mass. Like basically, it was just like, let's piggyback until we get mass following, then we'll shift it because it's out now. And so that's what how it was done. I was like, fair enough.
This reminds me of like simple things of like habit building, right? Like where you piggyback off one habit that you already do to learn a new habit. Yeah. Basically, you've got a habit of having a holiday that day. Why don't we add another one on?
Well, so here's the thing, right? So if you're going down the habit route, so initially, early Muslims weren't banned from drinking alcohol. And if you look at how it was instigated, it's a habit loop. So it was initially like decreed that you shouldn't before prayer. And then it slowly crept until it was totally banned. So it began this, like it was immediately before you couldn't drink, right? You couldn't be intoxicated. So that ruled out an X number, but you're praying 5 times a day, right? So then they slowly, it was over I don't know how long, it was like a habit creep institution. It's like, it's actually like the habit loop in, I don't know, 400 AD or whatever it was. Yeah.
Basically, it's population nudge.
So keeping with your lunar cycle stuff, I'm going to talk about Eid as the tradition. So that's there's two. One's coming up next week, actually, and it's the bane of my existence sometimes. So these are the two Muslim Christmases, if you like. So one celebrates the end of Ramadan. The other one's like Eid al-Adha so there's Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. They're called different things all over the world. But anyway, without getting into what they're celebrating and all that stuff, they go by the lunar cycle. And you go, cool, moon, super duper awesome. No. As with all religions, there's differences in opinion as to what constitutes a new moon. So it's meant to be, so why the symbol for Islam is like that crescent moon with the star, because the crescent moon symbolizes the last day. Like that's the last day of the moon. So then you start with the new moon. So you rely on moon sightings because depending on where you are in the world, it might look that tiny bit different. Like it might have like a
This is true.
Next, whatever triangular position. So there's the old school method where people literally will wait, even though it's cloudy, going, let's see if we can just maybe glimpse the moon. And if they can't, they go, well, we'll wait an extra day because then we got to be sure. This is what happens during Ramadan. Right? It's like, oh, we'll just fast one extra day. At least then we're absolutely sure, Whereas other people will be like, we've had satellites, They've been around for a while now. We're pretty sure this is the day. Now, I am very much on the second option around. It's like, come on, people, we've solved this. The problem is, then like my opinion doesn't count if the morning prayer for Eid isn't on. So I could go, yep, it's the Lunar New Year, new month. I'm going to go for Eid prayer, but none of the mosques will be open because they're still waiting to see the moon.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And so literally every single year, I can't book in leave so I can have the morning off to go to prayer. So literally next Tuesday, they announced it like 4 days ago. And by that stage, the roster's written. And anyway, Victoria's probably going to go into another lockdown. So that's a big loss, I suppose. But yeah, so it makes it incredibly difficult unless you're like doing day +-2 or like one on each side to try and cover when you're trying to actually have the morning off or the day off for Eid. Yeah. So there are some.
This kind of sounds like how religious factions are started.
Yeah. And it's literally, I don't know the ins and outs because I just kind of went, okay, this is, sure, there's might be really good reasons for it, but I'm just like, we've got satellites, let's just use them. Let's be done with it. But every year, half my family celebrate one on one day and the other half on the other day. So, and
Does it matter how tech savvy they are, or is it just not that?
Well, I think it's critical mass dependent. Like, I mean, I could go and celebrate it on that day, but it's a religious festival. Like, it's like saying, "Oh, Christmas, no, I'm going to celebrate it tomorrow." Kind of doesn't work, right? Like, the whole thing is that everyone celebrates it on the same day.
Like New Year's.
Yeah. So, like, can you imagine if it was like half? It wouldn't be the same. So you kind of get pulled into whatever the majority in your country is, and it seems to be certain countries accept certain things more often than not. I kind of looked at your brief and went tradition. I'm going to go with like superstition as well. This is a more local thing. So I don't know, because as far as I know, there is no basis for this in religion or culture or anything else. But my parents have this thing where if you go to sleep and let's say you dream, right? If your dream has a snake in it, like if there's a snake just appears, there's a snake, you are walking along the road in your dream and there's a snake. It's not anything to do, a snake tattoo pops up, right? That's it. You're meant to warn everyone, like as in they'll go, I dreamt of a snake last night. I'm like, the first time this happened, I was
That's
like,
interesting.
cool. I don't know what to do with this info.
Spiders for us.
Yeah.
Exact same thing. Spiders.
Yeah.
If there is a spider in the dream, you need to let everybody else know.
Yeah. And then
something's
it's
up.
Like just today, something bad will happen. Be on high alert.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? Why is it a snake? Why isn't it a bear? Why can't it be a shark attack? No, it has to be a snake.
Well, it's got to be the correct animal. Otherwise, you're going to misinterpret the signal.
Yeah. And I've asked them, why a snake? They actually have no answer. And you ask like anyone else in my family, like they made it up. There is zero, like my uncles and aunts, like my parents, brothers and sisters have no idea what they're talking about.
The question is, if somebody saw a snake, has anything bad happened anywhere at any point the next day? If it has, it must be true.
Yes, this is how, that horoscope was clearly correct.
But hey, who knows? Elements of truth to everything.
Or not.
Maybe.
I'm going to go with very much not.
Hey, don't anger the snake/spider, all right?
Yeah, this one like took the cake for me, because like the moment I saw that, I was like, yeah, I got to talk about this, because it's I suppose, if you get enough people into it, this is where a tradition starts, right? Mm-hmm. But no one else in my extended family knows anything about Snake Dream Day as a tradition. But my parents are like, would swear black and blue. It's like, and there has been times where I've gotten up and I've been about to go to work. My mom will come up and give me a hug. And I'm like, what's going on? It's like, I dreamt a snake. Like, cool. It's going to be one of those days today.
She's looking out for you. That's important.
Yeah. How her dreaming of snakes has anything to do with me, I will never know. But
well, think about it this way. Because of that warning that you've been getting, nothing bad's happened. Just saying.
Well, I mean,
saying.
So should I basically just put on Snakes on a Plane on repeat?
Well,
I don't know why you're happy to be dreaming about snakes. Anyway.
Leave us a comment if you also have dream interpretations in your family.
Actually, do you have any traditions and superstitions? That's what I would like to know, because
we literally have the exact same thing. Spiders.
Hang on, but is it in your extended family, or is it just your direct family, like your sister and your parents?
Direct family.
So you're like your extended uncles and aunts. No one.
Not really. No, not so much. Not so much. More direct family.
No wonder our parents get along.
Yeah. I would explain it.
Well, there you go. Brown people, eh? All right. Well, that's it for this episode. So yes, like and subscribe and stuff. And also, like leave the voicemail. Come on, people. Like one voicemail. It's so much
you
to
can do it.
But I'm actually genuinely curious to see if anyone's got any weird traditions, because they must all have like a common origin like this. I hope there has some sort of at least semblance of meaning. Like my parents' one, I've tried to try and figure out why snakes. They're like, well, snakes are scary. I'm like, so are ghosts. So like, I don't know. Most of like,
thanks.
Yeah, but like, you don't dreams, like the scary ones, you're getting chased, right? Like you don't see anything, but that's a scary one. That's scary. So why isn't it a chase dream being you might be hunted down today? Nah, it's snakes. Like, what do they ever do? Like, I'm not getting me wrong. I'm not a huge fan of snakes, but I don't have anything against them either. Like spiders, I totally get. I don't like spiders.
See, that makes sense.
Yeah, like I would be all for spiders. They didn't pick spiders. Like they know I don't like spiders. They don't like spiders. Like, they have nothing against it. But yeah, they went with snakes. Yes. Also, if you happen to like emailing, it's podcast@photosbyraffi.com. That's the email that comes in and goes to both of us. If you want to rather do that instead. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next episode. Bye-bye.
See ya.
What? Record. Oh God.
It's in progress. The recording.
Oh man, I'm like, what? How do I turn on the VCR?
Is it on? Hello?
Hello.
Is it recording?
Is the VCR on? Is it recording the TV show? Man, can you? Okay, random sidetrack. Everyone cares about privacy. VCRs were literally piracy devices. How come no one gave a shit back then?
That's a good point.
Literally a device so that you could record things off TV to play back. The same things that came out on home VHS.
Yeah, this is true.
Right? Just to think about that for a moment. The entire, and then everyone was like, oh, Napster file sharing. Like, this is literally what tape recorders and VCRs were designed to do. The entire industry was built around piracy. Like you played it on the radio, you taped that stuff down, there you go. You had a copy. And for whatever reason, if you wanted to buy someone else doing the taping, you went to the shops. Yeah, but now like file sharing, that's bad.
And you could either buy the original if you're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, never do that.
There's new Rick and Morty ad, by the way. And they take a
This sounds like another minisode coming up. Yeah. Oh, wait. Hang on. New one today?
A couple of days ago. There's 5 of them. I've seen them all.
Ah, man, I've only seen like 3 of them. I need to catch up.
The Planetina one?
Yeah. I think that might have been the last one I saw.
Yeah. And
I think that's episode 4. I need to catch up.
10 minutes each?
Yeah, let's go for that.
What, 5 or 10?
5 to 10.
All right, I'm gonna go with 5.
All right, done.
Well, we should
Is
actually.
there a timer? Are you doing a timer?
Yeah, I'm doing a timer.